What's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome. Today is Wednesday, May 1st, 2019. May Day, May Day. My name's Jeremy, and this right here in the whatever mug is my first cup of coffee. I'll do one episode one day where I just sit here and drink coffee. I won't even talk. I'll just say hi and drink coffee. There are days I felt like that, that's for sure. We can move this sign. I don't need this right now. I really should have made that an 8.5 by 11. This 11 by 17 is a little big, but oh well, it works. I mean, let's be honest. It's a show where I'm in a bathrobe. It doesn't really need to be fancy, does it? I feel good. I feel good. Other than I got something going on with my inner ear. I don't know if it's a ear infection or I started down the road of WebMD yesterday, and it was like, you have a rare form of tinnitus, and that started freaking me out. So I was like, no, we're gonna give it a couple days and see what's going on with this. So, yeah. I hope everybody's well. Hope you had a good Tuesday. What did I do yesterday? Oh, I drove all over the place, had a ton of meetings, recorded a podcast episode. It was supposed to be 2. We ended up rescheduling one of them due to some technical stuff, and that's okay. It happens. And I finished my first pass through of the outline for the upcoming book that I'm working on. Next step is to make sure that the order of the chapters and well, not so much the order of the chapters, but the sub-chapters, the sections. I don't know. I don't even know what to call it yet. I have to use words. I have to make sure. Oh, there's my ear doing that thing again. Hold on. If you see my eyes randomly water for seemingly no reason, it's because my ear is doing something funny. If I dig in here, it seems to give a little bit of relief. It doesn't hurt. It's just pressure. Yeah, I've just got to make sure some things are arranged correctly, and then I'm gonna go through and start recording the audio. It's a long project. It's a 26-page outline. I don't do things simply and small. Try to. It doesn't work. It's my nature. What else was yesterday? Email. Tuesday is appointment day. It's the day I get things done. Meetings, podcast interviews generally, things like that. Phone call. Had a phone call with one of the members of Team Whistlekick who is collaborating with me on a project that hopefully you will see soon. Always working on new things. So, what else we got for you? 2 questions. Had 2 questions come in overnight. And the first one I think I've answered before, but I'll answer it again. And then the second one is an interesting question that I will also answer. All right, so the first one is, what are your worst martial arts injuries and how did you recover from them? I've broken this tooth. This tooth is actually a crown, and I've broken the ring finger on this hand. Right, this hand? Yeah, this hand. And I know because if you look closely, there's a little bit of a gap between the ring and the pinky finger that is not present over here. It's because it was not set immediately, and I mean, it doesn't interfere with anything. I don't even notice it other than looking at that. But, so the finger thing, my hand was in a cast for a little while. Fortunately, it was my left hand. I'm a righty, so that wasn't too bad. That happened sparring, but I have no idea how. I've just finished sparring and took off my glove and went, ow, and started crying. I was like 12. I was like, why is this happening? I remember the worst part about it being it itching. The tooth was my freshman year of college. Again, sparring people that I didn't know. And this guy flipped up this weird roundhouse kick that I never saw coming, and it just smashed me in the face. Now, we weren't supposed to be going that hard. This guy kind of sucked in terms of just general control. I mean, I give him full credit for hitting me in the face, but it broke my tooth in half and slashed my lip on my broken tooth, and that was rough. That was unpleasant. And so that was just some dental work. Other injuries I've had tend to be more, muscle strains, and the way I deal with those is just to take it easy. Now, it's interesting that we got this question, because I just finished another podcast, not for us. I listened to a podcast episode with Gary Reinl, who's been on Martial Arts Radio, and he is the leading opponent of using the RICE method, rest, ice, compression, elevation. He's been a physical therapist and everything for a long time, and is just very anti-ice for good reasons. So if you haven't listened to that episode, I've always been anti-ice just because it didn't feel natural. It didn't make sense to me. Turns out I was right. So go check out that episode of Martial Arts Radio. You can find it wherever. Reinl is Reinl. And stop icing. It's bad. Don't do it. You're slowing things down. All right, so the second question. What are the difference between tactics and strategy? Now, I'll admit, I had to look up the definitions of these words because to me they're pretty synonymous. But turns out they're not. Strategy is meant to be a more macro view, while tactics are more of a micro view. So let me drink some more coffee. I'll tell you what that means. Oh. All right. So let's say I'm sparring someone. My strategy for them might be to maintain pressure on them throughout the match. My tactics might be to throw more kicks than I am typically going to do, or to be fast off the line when the match starts. If you line up the tactics, they support the strategy. The strategy being to maintain pressure, to be aggressive. The tactics being specific methods of supporting that strategy. And it's an interesting thought example, because I've never considered it in this way. And what I'm looking forward to doing, though I'm not going to do it on the show because I don't think my brain's going to go that quickly. My eyes just feel weird today looking at the camera. Is to look at the strategy and the tactics of forms. Can we pull a strategy out that the individual movements are the tactics that support that? I bet we can. So that's neat. I enjoy when you guys ask me questions that require thought, really get my brain working. I can see that I'm going to spend some time on this today. And if I come up with anything cool, I'll talk about it tomorrow. Now, what is happening today? It's Wednesday. It's a short day for me because it's the day I coach CrossFit. But I am recording an interview with a past guest, hopefully. We've had some scheduling issues the last couple times. But third time's a charm, right? And this will turn into a Thursday episode on the subject of violence. I'm not going to tell you who it is, but it's an earlier guest and someone who is uniquely, there we go, that's a word, uniquely qualified to talk about violence. What else is happening today? Back office stuff, books, financial, things like that. I'm going to try and get to the gym. I haven't been to the gym in 2 days. I mean, I went to Taekwondo on Monday, but I haven't lifted heavy things. I'm going to try and do that. So if I can get all of my work done quickly, I'll get out of the house and go to the gym and then go hang out at a coffee shop and get work done. I get more work done when I'm not here, depending on the type of work. I don't record podcasts when I'm not here. I do better on fun things, on the creative things when I'm here, because there are fewer distractions. I do better on the boring things. Well, what did I say? There are fewer. I do better on the creative things when I'm here because I'm better able to ignore the distractions. There we go. When I'm out of the house, it seems like there might be more distractions. There are fewer distractions. I don't have the temptation of the television or checking on the plants or dealing with the cat or eating. So that's where I get a lot of grunt work done, which mostly comes down to email. I get a lot of email. What else? What else can I talk about? Anything go on at Taekwondo on Monday? No, I talked about that yesterday. It was fun. Oh, the big thing that's going on right now, this will be the last thing we talk about. So for those, I'm assuming most of you at least sometimes listen to martial arts radio. Maybe you don't. That's cool. Martial Arts Radio is the Whistlekick podcast that we do twice a week. And we are coming up on episode 400, the end of the month. We're going to run it Sunday or Monday of Memorial Day weekend. We will be doing something special for 400. Episode 100 was me being interviewed by my friend, Mr. Daniel Hartz. Episodes 200 and 300 were live shows right from this room. I vowed after episode 300 I was not doing it like that again. It was way too complicated. Setting up cameras and getting someone to come in and run the switcher, and just, it was a lot of work. I don't feel like doing that again. It was a full day of preparation and breakdown for, honestly, the impact wasn't there. So right now, for those of you that don't know, we have it's a private group, not for any reason other than just to keep junk and spam out of it. We have a group for Martial Arts Radio called Whistlekick Martial Arts Radio Behind the Scenes. And we've got a few hundred people in there. And, I'll mention the episodes as they come out. And the big thing I get out of it, I ask for feedback. So I posted yesterday, what should we do for episode 400? Now, some of the people in there are ridiculous. And that's fine. I said ridiculous answers are fine. But we've got some good things coming in. And right now, I'd say that the two biggest suggestions, the two best suggestions that are coming in, are to do a roundtable with some of the past guests. And right now, I've got 3 yeses from local people who have been on the show. So that's cool. We might do that. And the other thing is, what about doing a destination episode? Could do that. Could go somewhere. I don't know where. I don't know what I would do. But the idea of recording live elsewhere is kind of neat, kind of exciting. So we'll see. One of the kind of sub suggestions that's come through a couple times was, what about interviewing quote unquote regular people, normal people? The only problem with that is it's a holiday weekend, so getting a bunch of people to go to class on a holiday weekend, probably not going to happen. But we can try. We can try. I don't know. I got a month. 24 days, 5 days, 6 days to figure this out. So we'll figure something out. Now, if you have a suggestion for that show and you're not part of that group, you could drop that below here. You could also ask a question for tomorrow's episode of First Cup below. I'd love to see those. I love answering questions. You guys know that. What else? Don't forget to subscribe, turn on notifications, because we do this show every 6:30 a.m. weekday. That's a weird order of words. Eastern time, right here on YouTube. But you can catch it later at firstcupwithjeremy.com or in your podcast feed. Now, your homework today, to tie back to the things that we talked about earlier in the episode. If you have not checked out Gary Reinl's episode of Martial Arts Radio, you need to. Ice is hurting you. It is bad. It is silly. It is counter to natural processes, and there is no evidence to support it. It's just something that has become, it's the medical equivalent of bro science. Just put ice on it, right? Don't do it. Okay. So your homework is to go listen to that episode. Now, if you've listened to that episode, I want you to share that with someone. He's got a book. There's a ton of stuff. And you know what? He does an amazing job of explaining it. So, if you're already up on that, I'll give you a second piece of homework. Take a look at your strategy and your tactics in one aspect of your life. If strategy is the overall goal, the macro view, the big picture, the tactics are what get you there, the mini goals. Do your tactics support your strategy? If you don't have a strategy, then your tactics are haphazard at best. So figure that out.